Well, hey guys, welcome back to part two of this episode of Chino's 24th birthday celebration recap. And I do want to say, you know, in part one, I talked about, getting set up for the occasion. Tables were already gathered and, you know, there was a lot. I mean, a lot of people. And, you know, we threw the house out the window due to how, due to the immense amount of people and all you know, the food, the drinks, and, and let's talk about, well, obviously there was tons and tons and tons of people. You know, we've never had a party this big since, Lalo's birthday party, last year. And it was, I'm gonna, it was a tranquil party first, but then it got chaotic, and I was in my mom's room taking care of the dogs. But that's gonna come in part three. So let's talk about you know Jasmine came over. Shout out to you, Jasmine. Um, Shout out to Jesse who came over. Shout out to Gio who came over. You know, and big shout out, to Anaí for coming over. Um, you are the best fulanita ever, and we were celebrating Chino's Chino's 24th year of life, and y'all, what a dandy of a Sabbath it was, of a Saturday night it was. And while hectic, it was a beauty. You know, the group saying happy birthday to Chino, and we had, and there was a lot of cars parked on the street because it was a massive party. And, you know, the party began obviously at 6. And like I've said, y'all, we sang happy birthday to Chino. We were having food, and a lot of people came over. And big shout out to Adela, who is Eloise's sister. Thank you for coming to this 24th celebration. I know y'all are, tired after this monstrous party. And it was huge by New Home standards. And what I do like about it, well, They played La Yaquecita, and they played a lot of songs. And I thought the group was gonna stop playing at 10. But nope, they continued all the way till 11:30 p.m. Yep, close to midnight. Close to midnight. And I was like, y'all, neighbors are gonna get all mad about it, and people are gonna be so mad about it that they're playing music that late. But hey, it was, hey, it was it was it's Saturday night, y'all, and we can enjoy celebrating until you know our body can handle it, hasta que el cuerpo aguante. And it was, you know, I was inside during the party, and then I got to be in the photo booth. I'm like, first time I got to be in the photo booth. And I was like, wow. I was so excited that you know, it's a little digital screen, and you have to get on top of the platform. I don't know what it's called, but it's a little turntable. And then once you get in the on top of a little turntable, the little camera takes a video, and then and you have to hold something, a little stick. I don't know what it's called. I don't know what it's called, y'all. But if if any of you guys know, please let me know in the comments bar. And it was a dandy of a party. But then, as you know, things got little out of hand. I was in my mom's room taking care of the dogs so that they wouldn't be barking and whining, and you know how puppies are. You know how puppies are at this age. They're 5 months old, and so close to 6 months old. And and the celebration continued. And so after that, you know, all the there was cake, there was just way too much, way too much to drink. And you know, I applaud Chino for planning his birthday party in advance. And and I wish you a happy birthday. And so in part 3, I'm going to be talking about, well, you know, how the party ended. So catch y'all in part 3